I'm inside the starboard armour and starting to work on these areas here. This is definitely a bit of a nasty gash. It's only thin fiberglass there. A little bit of softwood up there, but not too much. But anyway, this is where I need to be working on right now, and that is the daggerboard case. You might notice that there's a couple of holes there now, and I put little fiberglass patches on so that the epoxy doesn't ooze through when I put the timber in there. All the little gaps that are here in the starboard armour, probably right through the boat, I'm going to fill in so it's not a home for spiders and termites, and a wasp around here is pretty interested in them as well. It's rather a sweet shape, that, isn't it? Fiberglassing is well underway here as well. Yeah, you can see light coming through, but it's through fiberglass, and it'll get another layer. It'll get another layer on the outside. This is where the nasty gash was that I showed you earlier. Now I've glassed it on the inside and filled in with hard epoxy on the other side, so these areas are now all good and strong, and I've been doing lots of this sort of work, filling in all the little gaps in the timber work. There was quite a gap here. I think it makes it look a little bit stronger. It makes me feel better. Maybe it even gives it a little bit of strength. More plywood in there, and fresh stringers here, here and here. And a little bit more ply to strengthen the butt joints, and that's just about it for this side of that frame. Plenty of work to be done on the other side of the daggerboard case. Needs a bit of attention. Yeah, this chain plate I removed today, so I can get some solid wood in there. So we've got good clean wood in there, and it's all nice and sealed up now. I know there's stuff here, but I can do that later. The main thing at the moment is to seal the roof and stop water coming in for when the rains come, which are due in about a month. And this is how that repair is looking on the outside. Nice, one less hole to worry about. Still got more over there. There's more work to be done up there. And back here, of course, is an absolute disaster. And this area is pretty disastrous as well. And, that's not looking nice either. And some more layers to go on here. That one will bring it up to the right level, and this one here will do the job there. So as this job gets closer to its conclusion of being fully sealed, it just needs a lid on it now. Let's have a look at the next job, making the boat watertight, and that is this here. from the inside, where we're now out of the wind. Thank goodness, it is so windy here. It's obviously quite a mess. That main cross beam is extremely rotten. And I can't really do much about that until I get the boat off the supports, because the supports are riding on these beams. Yep. Active termites are in there. For someone claiming to be sealing the boat up in preparation for the monsoon season, it looks like I'm not doing much of a job, doesn't it? Massive holes there. Actually, I quite like the view. I'm thinking of putting a window in there. Now, I'm going to do a little experiment. I've got really soft wood out here. Alright. This wood here is so soft. Right. Now, before I rip it out, I'll see if I can save it. This area has turned out to be not as big a problem as I thought, replacing that piece there. I found a nice, really solid piece, just the right thickness to be able to go in underneath, around here, it even hooks in a bit under there. And now I'll get to glue that in, and it should be all pretty watertight pretty soon. Just clean up this area, put a new piece in here. Yeah, making good progress. It's a real shame about the wind, I realise this, but if I don't video it with the wind, it won't get videoed at all. Now, I don't really want to concentrate on the faults of the original build, but I can't help but point out, you might notice that this here is a different height to this here. And also, these cross beams are up at an angle when they should be horizontal. Now, if I put a horizontal piece of timber in like that, and I think that's pretty close, I'm not fudging it, right? Yeah. I think the boat was definitely built in a hurry. Lots of voids in the veneers, like here. This one here never actually ever made contact with the next veneer. Some areas it's been as much as a quarter of an inch and near a centimetre. Anyway, this is the current hole that I am about to repair. Nice. Oh, and while I'm at it, I'll point out that most of these deck stringers right throughout the boat, main hull and in the armours, are an inferior wood and have gone soft, but they didn't seem to be regarded as a structural piece, because this one, for example, doesn't even make it to the main bulkhead here. This gluing attempt here never actually made it to the frame. Huh. It's been pointed out by a number of people that it would be easier and with a much better result to completely rebuild the boat from scratch, from new, and they are absolutely correct, but it's not financially a good thing. Now, down inside the starboard armour here at the stern, it's a real problem area, and has been for a long time. I mean, there's been patches on patches here. I can't really get right down inside there, so it's not going to be a pretty job. I've chiseled away most of the soft stuff. I'm just going to splash lots of thinners down in here. That'll kill the termites. Then it's thinned epoxy to harden what remains, then thick epoxy over that. There's a hole between the floor and the transom of the armour down there, which is quite large. I'm going to put cotton balls inside the epoxy mix so it doesn't sag down inside. Okay, let's see how we go. The problem with the armour sterns is they've always been a wet area, both from seawater, from a small hole. I'm showing you on the hole down there that lets in seawater every time there's any vigorous sailing, and the hatch here is one that lets in rainwater, and there's that butte rainwater catcher which normally would just spew water in there all the time. So this area is always damp, always wet. The floors are really good, but everywhere else was inadequately sealed, so I'm going to turn them into a dry area. And it's not going to be that simple actually to I will reuse this because it's a really nice honeycomb stuff. It's not really a simple thing to make it a dry hatch, but that's what I'm going to do. Most people's boats are beautiful status symbols, works of art, shiny, smooth and clean. This boat is not a work of art at the moment. It's a messy restoration on a beach. But the more I look at this, the more I like it. It almost is a work of art, isn't it? I could call it wood floating in a sea of epoxy. This boat did come with its own artwork. The beautiful mural there, which has been suffering from water damage there. Dribbled some epoxy there, it's flaking off there, it's coming away there. Oh, it's such a shame. I really enjoy the splash of colour in the boat, and of course it's a beautiful scene too, very appropriate for a cruising boat. So I'll try to save it. And how? The way I save everything. With epoxy. And speaking of saving things, this is my experiment from earlier. I've put on around about 15 to 20 coats of very thinned out epoxy, and it's taken a long time for it to set, but now that it has, it is probably about the same consistency and strength as pine or cedar. It's fine. I'm going to keep it. That actually is a piece of timber from the stairs down below there. It hasn't gone far. It's good to reuse it, and it's really good solid stuff. It's amazing what an epoxy saturation technique can do. Next job, right here. Well, some things work and some things don't. Apologies to Nikki, the artist. I've both destroyed and preserved this painting all in one foul swoop. The brush was too much for the paint. It came off in big flecks everywhere. But it's not going to deteriorate any further, and I'll work on touching it up at a later date. The forecast said it was going to rain, just light showers in the next couple of days, so I've gone and completely sealed up the boat now. I've put that in on the roof here. I've patched that up over the deck area. All this has now been fiberglassed, so that it doesn't crack. That one's got fiberglass as well. This is now in and covered with some epoxy. That one is also covered in epoxy, and I've put that in as well. So now no rain is going to get in the boat, except maybe in the back area there, but that's all going to be basically ripped out and changed. So I'm ready for a shower or two now. Feeling pretty good about it as well. And that is it. That is where I'm up to at the end of 5 months. But before I go, have you worked out what the mystery object is? That's it. Toodaloo.